Hi, boys and girls. This is Ms. Kathy. I'm so happy you've joined me today for another story just for you. God's Promise. Long, long ago, in heaven, an angel named Lucifer decided he wasn't happy. He decided that heaven wasn't paying enough attention to him. "I'm faster, stronger, and smarter than any other angel," he said to himself. "The angels should be looking at me as much as God." Lucifer was beginning to love himself more than he loved God. He began to think that God really didn't love him at all. He decided, "Why should I listen to what God says? I'm just as smart as God. Everyone should be listening to what I say." God tried to talk to Lucifer. He tried to help Lucifer see that being selfish was only going to cause pain and sadness. But Lucifer made up his mind to be God's enemy. He talked many of the other angels into joining him to fight against God. They started a war in heaven, and God had no choice. He threw them out. From then on, Lucifer was known as Satan. When Satan heard about the people in God's new world, he began planning to get them to join him as enemies against God. God knew that Satan would come to tempt Adam and Eve and try to get them to doubt God's love. He knew he couldn't just keep Satan away from them. Adam and Eve had to be free to choose whom to believe. But he only let Satan tempt them at one spot in the garden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Adam and Eve were safe as long as they chose to stay away from that tree. But one day, Eve wandered away from Adam. She was walking near the tree when she was surprised to hear a voice call out to her. "Did God really say that you can't eat the fruits from any trees in this garden?" Eve was surprised to see that a snake was talking to her from the branches of the tree. She knew that snakes were very clever creatures, but she didn't expect one to talk to her. Of course, it was Satan speaking to her through the snake. Eve answered, "God said that we could eat fruit from all the trees except this one. He said that if we just touched the fruit of this tree, we would die." "That's not true," the snake said. "God knows that if you eat this fruit, you'll know everything just like He does." Then the snake dropped a fruit into Eve's hand. "See, you touched it, and you didn't die." Eve looked at the fruit. It looked beautiful and delicious, and she liked the idea of being as smart as God. So she took a bite. Then she ran to share her fruit with Adam. When Adam saw what Eve had done, he was sad. But he didn't want to lose Eve. He decided that if she was going to do something wrong, he would too. He took a bite of the fruit. Adam and Eve had always worn robes of light. Now those clothes made of light faded away, and they realized that they were naked. When God came to walk with them that evening, they ran away and hid from him. "Adam," God called. "Eve, where are you?" Finally they answered, "We're hiding because we don't have any clothes." God must have shaken his head sadly. "Why did you eat the fruit when I told you not to?" Adam pointed to Eve. "She gave me some of the fruit, so I ate it." Eve pointed toward the tree. "The snake tricked me." God knew the truth. Adam and Eve had decided to trust Satan's words instead of God's. He said, "From now on, snakes will crawl through the dust, and people will treat them like enemies." But God knew that it was Satan who had tricked Eve. He spoke to Satan, "One day, one of Eve's children will destroy you." God must have had tears in his eyes by now. He told Adam and Eve, "You must leave your garden. You cannot eat fruit from the tree of life anymore. From now on, you will have to work hard and sweat to grow your food. Now there will be weeds and thorns and pain and death. You will not die today, but when you do, your body will turn back into the dust it was created from." So Adam and Eve left the Garden of Eden to find a new home. Angels guarded the gates to the garden with bright shining swords so that no one could go back inside. Adam and Eve were very, very sad when they saw the first leaves begin to turn brown and die. They must have cried every time they saw a hurt bird or a dead animal. But God comforted them by giving them a promise. Someday, someone was coming who would destroy Satan and sin. Someday they would get to go back to their garden. Jesus was coming, and he would make the whole world a new Garden of Eden.
The story you have heard today is from the Shoebox Kids Bible Stories, written by Jerry D. Thomas and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.